अंग्रेजी मीडियम में जाते हैं पढ़ने।
जी जी जी
इंग्लिश
जी
तो ऐसे ही बोलते हैं फर्राटेदार, मेरे तो सर के ऊपर से जाती।
हाँ एकदम 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 सही कह रहे हो।
बर्बादी तुम्हें पता, बालक हमारे अंग्रेजी मीडियम में जाते हैं पढ़ने।
जी जी जी
इंग्लिश
जी
तो ऐसे ही बोलते हैं फर्राटेदार, मेरे तो सर के ऊपर से जाती।
हाँ एकदम 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 सही कह रहे हो।
Check कर दिया? Okay, thumbs up कर दिया। 26 number.
Good morning to all the viewers, and we will continue our journey. Myself, Dr. Namita Gupta. We have talked about various aspects of management. We have discussed the various levels of management. So, like continuing on the same, we will go further to know more about what are these different management people do. What is the journey? Myself, Dr. Namita Gupta. We have talked about various aspects of management. We have discussed the various levels of management. So, like continuing on the same, we will go further to know more about sound system.
Morning. करें start? ठीक है, मेरे को ना आप WhatsApp पे, ठीक है, thumbs up कर देना WhatsApp पे।
क्या मुश्किल होती है? अपने अपने उठते ग्लास की भी छोटा हो सकता है। ग्लास की भी छोटा हो सकता है। Good morning, viewers. Myself, Dr. Namita Gupta, and again we are back with our subject of management processes and functions. So let's continue our journey on management. We have talked about few things related to management. So now let's come back to levels of management. As we have already talked that there are three types of level: the top management, the middle management, and the lower management. So starting with the top management, what is the purpose of top management? What do they do? So they are the people who formulate the policies and objectives for the organizations. So when we say policies, policies are the guidelines that help the employees decide on how much and what is the boundary, how should they work, what is the right practice for the organization, and what are the objectives and the goals of the organization. So top management are the people who throw light on the direction to which we have to move on. Second part, usually how are these people known? What are they called as? They are called a board of directors. They are called as the CEOs of the organization, the chief executive, or the COOs, the chief operating officers. These are some of the names given. Some organization may also call them by the name of MD, managing directors. So they coordinate with middle and lower level of management. Usually they are in direct touch with the middle level management, and the middle level management transfers whatever they get information from top level to the lower level management. So this is how the top management functions. Then we have the for the next part is like what do they do? So they are basically responsible for the performance of all the department. So though they are in direct touch with middle management, but then they cannot say if something goes wrong at the lower management, then the responsibility lies with them also. So therefore, they are overall responsible for both the aspects, the middle management and the lower management. Also, they have various cross-departmental responsibility. For example, now once they are a CEO, they cannot say that they are from HR department or they are from marketing department or they are from production department. Instead, they are a part of all of them. So that's why we say they have cross-departmental responsibility. So at one hand, they have to cross-check whether the right human resource have been employed. At the other hand, they have also to be sure of where the finances are coming from. Then establish organizational goals and monitor the performance of middle level managers. Their direct responsibility falls in this direction because they have to command the middle level. They have to ensure that the middle level gets the right roles, goals, and responsibilities. And also, the performance of middle management is directly reported to them, the top management. So therefore, they have to instruct them, guide them, encourage them, and ensure that the middle management understands all that is being said to them. Moving on to the second level of management, each level is important. We cannot say that either one of them is more important or less. Each of them are complementary to each other. So where top management was doing the planning part, the licensing part, it was connecting with the external environment. The middle management has a very important role of controlling and commanding the lower management. Now, the size of the lower management is the highest. The maximum number of people in any organization are in its lower management. So these lower management people have to be commanded. And also, these are the people with the least skill in the organization. Maybe with lesser experience or more, but the skill level is comparatively more technical in nature. Therefore, these people need a little more coordination, a little more guidance, a little more instructions. And henceforth, the role of middle management comes into play. So, middle management forms of various departments. We know various functional departments like HR, marketing, production, IT, and finance. So these are some of the most common functional departments. We can have many more like research and development. We can have some organization may also have the supply chain department as separate department, but I have named a few common ones. So now what is their role? What is their job? Their job is to organize their department to implement the top management policies. This is what they aim at. So what are they doing? They have to devise the roles and responsibilities in terms of authorities and duties. So once all these departments are being created, the number of levels that have to be maintained in each and every department is being identified. This is done by creation of organization structure. So the guidance, as per the guidance received from the top management policies, they act upon it. Now also they are directly responsible for the result of their areas. For example, the general manager of HR. So general manager of HR, general manager of marketing, general manager of finance, general manager of IT, general manager of production, all of them are responsible for the activities done in their department. So they have to command all the people who are in their line function. Now they are commanding their own department as well as they are doing all the managerial functions. So what are these managerial functions? We talked about them in the previous slides: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. So they perform all these functions for their own department. So by running their own department properly, in a way, they are contributing to their organization. So what are they? We call them that they act as linchpin. So the word LinkedIn comes here, which connects. It is the middle level management connects the lower management to the top management. It connects the top management's plannings and policy to the lower management, and by informing to the lower management, and the lower management by letting the request of the lower management be transferred to the top management. So this is how the middle management acts as a linking pin between the two sections. Now, they are also the ones who are managing the first line managers. And first line managers are the top managers of the lowest level. They are also responsible to find out how they can maneuver the goals of the department. So every department has their own goals. So HR department goal, marketing goal, finance department goal. So besides the business goal is divided into various parts and divided into each and every function. Let's say an organization had a target of attaining 100 products in let's say 100 cars in a month. Now this 100 cars target comes down to the production department. So that means the production department should have the number of people which can make 100 cars in a month. In case any of them is short, then it is a quick responsibility in advance for the HR department to provide that employee. It is if they need some items to be purchased, some more raw material to produce this 100 cars. So in advance, they will order the purchase department to get those parts procured for them. Now the purchase department would need finance. So this finance should come from the finance department to fulfill the requirement of the 100 cars. So you see, all the departments get involved. And once the marketing department knows that 100 cars will be created by the end of this month, then it is their role to ensure that there is a market for these 100 cars. So this is how this business goal of 100 cars in a month has been transferred to the various departments of the office. So also they serve as communication channels. As I told you that there are link pin. So that is one of the role of a link pin is to communicate, to coordinate, to transfer the information from one to another, to ensure that both the levels are well heard and both the levels are getting their requirement fulfilled. So this is what is the role of middle management. Now we come down to the third level of management. This third level of management is also called as supervisory management. So the supervisory management aims is also known as by the various names: foremen, supervisors, office superintendents, etc. These people, what are they doing? They're doing essential day-to-day operations. If it is a production floor, if it is a manufacturing company, then these people are doing the technical task of running the machineries, creating the products. If it is a service industry, then they may be doing small odd jobs. It could be related to cleaning of the, let's say, a barber shop. So in that barber shop, there would be certain support staff. So those support staff may be the ones who clean the shop, the ones who maybe cut the hair, someone may be the parlor girl who may be doing the facial, maybe doing the eyebrows. So those are those technical people who are trying to run the show. So those are the lower management of the service. Then these people are the ones who plan and organize what are the activities of the group. Now, sometimes the actual operators may be a level lower than these. So these people are the ones who command, who tell, who plan, and the operators may be different. The actual worker may be different, and these people are the senior ones. They have done the work in past, or they have better managerial skills. That's why they are appointed as the supervisors. So sometimes in factory floor, the senior workers, once they have learned the work very well, they are good, they have known great amount of technical expertise and are ready to be trainers. So they are appointed as foremen, supervisors. Similarly, those let's say in the service industry, so somebody who is like let's say in charge of for housekeeping. This person in the past has done housekeeping and knows all the nitty gritties of cleanliness, maintaining the cleanliness in the factory shop or in the maybe a college. Let's say college is also service station. So this person, once he has works for 5-10 years in housekeeping, now he's upgraded and knows everything about housekeeping. So then this person is appointed as a foreman or is in charge to the housekeeping staff. So that is what it means by supervisory management. So he is the one who plans how the work will start, who will do what are the resources that are to be allocated, are these resources in place or not? All these questions have to be answered by this person. And if something goes wrong, then the middle management will question him, not the worker directly. They need to first get in touch with the supervisor. They procure all the important material, the machines, the tools. If anything gets spoiled, then they are the ones who put through, like send it to for repair, and then they provide the kind of suitable environment for the workers on which they can work. So this is one of a very important like section, one of the very important level of management because it is at the forefront. It is the main working section. It is the main operational aspect of the like functionality, whether it be a service or whether it be a goods producing organization. So now it is very important that if the workers or the operators do not know have the complete skill or the perfect skill to manage the work, then they provide trainings to the workers. They communicate the problems of the workers to the middle management level so that the problems get resolved. They also supervise any kind of activities in terms of if the workers need motivation, they will motivate. If the worker needs any kind of raw material, they will provide. If the worker needs any kind of time management support or a colleague support, they are the ones to allocate or reallocate and reschedule the responsibilities. So we have discussed about this part a little bit, like these various functions of management. So different levels use different functions differently. For example, you can very much see here that planning function is highest at the top management level because they are the ones who plan the goals, the business goals. So therefore, they have to plan more. They are the head of the organization. So the head of the organization aims more at thinking what is the right thing to be done. Because if they choose the wrong thing, then howsoever well the middle managers and the first line managers and the workers will do it, it will not fulfill the goal of the organization. Similarly, we can even observe that the next biggest thing that they have is controlling. So they need to ensure that whatever has been planned by them is also being done in the same manner. So planning and controlling are two major responsibilities. Now they have the middle managements whom they have to like organize. So they divide the roles of the middle management. How many levels they want, they specify it because this specifies the hierarchy, how long the hierarchy they want from the organization. Then you have the staffing part. For example, they put little efforts in staffing work because they have allocated this work to the general manager, HR. So the top management does not have to spend a lot of time. Once top manager HR or general manager HR is being hired, it is his duty to staff. So very little amount of efforts is done by them to hire the general managers. In that staffing, They play an important role. At times, they also be the member of the panel to evaluate them. And then they lead, they direct the general managers. They give them the instructions, they motivate them, they take reporting from them, so that they may know that everything is going appropriately at the ground level, in the lower management level. So this is how the top management function goes. If we look at, sorry, if we look at middle managers, so the planning part is a little lesser because all the policies, all the goals have already been defined for them. They only have to plan how to get the work done from the first line managers. Sorry. So from this angle, you can see that their level of planning is lesser. Going down to first line managers, they only have to plan how much resource to allocate to which machinery. So this is the minimal amount of planning that is needed to be done as per the goals identified. Then organizing, you see, it is also falling down in the same manner because once the hierarchy and all these aspects, the number of departments, etc., has been planned by top management, others simply have to implement it. In the staffing, sorry, the maximum amount of people are there in the lower management. Therefore, the greatest amount of staffing has to be done by the first line managers. Middle management people have to hire the first line manager. This number is also high. So therefore you can see the staffing is higher of middle managers in comparison to the top managers. Leading. Again, you can see that because the number of people are most in the lowest level management. Therefore, more motivation is required, more encouragement is required, more and more amount of commanding, supervision, monitoring is required. And because they are people with lesser skill level, therefore these people need more commanding. So, supervision, leading, leadership, motivation, all that is done by the maximum by the first line managers. Then we have controlling. So in controlling, we can see the maximum because the plans are made by top management. So the controlling aspect is also done maximum by the top management. And everything is pre-planned for them. Therefore, the lowest management has to do minimal amount of controlling because everything is already been guided by policy for them. Sorry. Various roles of manager. The managerial role. What is the managerial role? As we already talked about, the 5 functions. The planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. So the task of the manager is that they are expected to ensure the work that they are expected to do in the organization that they are expected to perform. In 1960, Henry Mintzberg conducted a study. He wanted to know what are the various managerial roles. He identified 10 managerial roles. So what are these various roles? Let's try to understand on them. Interpersonal, decisional, information. So we talked about the names of these roles yesterday. Let me go in a little more detail about these various roles. In every organization, time and again, some new projects have to be decided. So these new projects, when they're decided, work has to be done on them. So the person who focuses, whosoever decides for these new projects, usually it may be somebody from the top management or maybe the head of the middle management. They come up with new ideas, new projects, new work to be done, or maybe doing the same thing in a new way. So this is what we know as entrepreneurial ability. So the managers have to find out new ways, new methods, new technologies, and new systems for how they can do that new work. So whenever a new work has to be there, people have to look for changes. For example, for a new work, new machinery may be required and therefore new training may be required. So somebody who explores this for you or for the organization is put into the role of entrepreneur because he is one who creates something new or who starts something new. Second important role under the category of decisional roles, because as the name says, decisional roles means the decisions of certain things are being decided under these type of roles. So here the strategies and both utilization of resources have to be done. So this entrepreneur has to plan what all new has to be identified. The second type of role is called as disturbance handler. So whenever something new turns up, often there are problems. So these problems have to be resolved. So the second person or the second type of creative problem solving that is needed in the organization, that role is handled by somebody called as a disturbance handler. So anybody, it could be a junior person, it could be a senior person. Anyone who comes up with the solution to an unexpected problem, event, or situation can be referred as disturbance handler. Now, it could be simply a machine which is not working properly. So, if a technical staff helps in resolving that problem and gets the machine into action within 10 minutes, then that is again the role of a disturbance solver, disturbance handler played by that worker. Or the other example of it could be like a middle management person. So if there is a strike related issue that has happened in one of the department, in the production department, two workers are having a fight and one has slapped the other. Now this is a kind of situation which causes disturbance and the work has been halted, the union is in play. Now a manager from HR department enters and tries to bring pacify the two people. So now he has discussed with both of them and resolved the matter, got in touch with the union, and the union is also satisfied. Both the workers have apologized and asked sorry to each other. So this role was called as the disturbance handler role. Third role, the resource allocator role. Now the resource allocator role is like, as the name says, a person who is in charge of allocating the resources. So like this person has to both plan for the total work and identify which person is getting or which role has to be allocated, what amount of resources, how much time, etc. So first the authorities and responsibilities have to be identified. In accordance to that, we have to allocate the resources. So let's say in a phase of change where the planning of change is being done and the implementation has to happen, and where in the change management process it has been identified that the organization needs lot of training because people are very short of skills in the new product department. So now once we know that a lot of trainings have to happen, then what does the resource allocator has to do? He has to give a larger budget to the HR department's training section instead of giving large amount of budget to the production department for re-innovation. So we can make sure that which department needs budget more which year. Let's say once the training are completed, then we can give the same amount to the production department next year and let them have the essential re-innovation where they can redesign their machine chambers. So the resource allocator allocates resources appropriately. Also, He is the one who identifies what should be the budget and also how which section needs which amount of budget and provides the justification on the basis of the work. So these are the three essential roles of decision role. The last one is also the role of a negotiator. So what does a negotiator do? Negotiator can be in various areas, could be a HR manager, could be a union manager, could be a customer, or could be a shareholder. So when a salesperson deals with a customer, then he or she has to come up with a kind of understanding where the salesman is able to justify the customer. So we have to convince our shareholders also. So the AGM, when it is being held and general shareholders are there, then you have to negotiate and share what you can give and what is good for them or how is it good for them. You have to convince this. When there is a long-term agreement between the top management, between the management and the union. It is called as LTS in many organizations, long-term settlement. It is also known by the name of collective bargaining. So what happens in collective bargaining? The management employees and the union leaders who represent the workers and the management employees who represent the managers. Together they come about an agreement and a discussion happens. So wherever the resources are limited, they are scarce, we need negotiation skills. So we need to negotiate with suppliers, union leaders, informational rules. So once we have the decision rules where the decision will be taken, a second important rule is informational rule. What happens is that in today's world, information has become very, very important. Both internal information and external information. What is informational role? Let's try to understand. It is concerned with communication among individuals and groups. The managers, they need to collect information and then transmit the information. For example, the middle managers, they to know about the policy, they get to know about the goals from the top management, and then they have to share it back to the lower management. How are they sharing it is important. For example, let's say if the information transfer has been done verbally by the middle managers about the goals of the organization given to them by the top management, they have not shared it in writing. So many a times when this kind of thing happens, the workers fail to understand or remember their goals. And then there are issues, there are problems, and then the middle management blame the lower management that you did not listen well and that's why you have made mistakes. But who is more at wrong? I am sure you are able to judge that it is the middle management whose process of communicating those goals was improper. For any good organization, informations like vision, mission, business goals, these should be mentioned in writing. They should be clearly shared to all the workers so that every worker knows what is their goal. The SOPs, the way of how to get the work done, the process of doing the work, all these things should be very much transferred in writing. I remember when I used to work in Honda Seal Car India Limited, the workers' work in process was written in a beautiful flow chart and it was well placed near the workstation where he could easily see to it and follow the steps. So this is how we ensure that an employee gets the right information at the right time when he needs it. There are various categories of information roles: the monitor, the disseminator, and the spokesperson. So let's talk about the first role, the role of a monitor. What does a monitor say? Does we all know that we all used to have monitors in our school days also. So what does that monitor do? So number one, he or she collects information. So you remember your class monitor used to observe who is talking, who is not studying, who is being a nuisance in the class, who is disturbing. So in the same way, the organizational monitor, the person who plays this role, also does the same. He keeps an open eye. Let's say the HR person in the office, he may be on his seat, he may not be on his seat, but his eyes are always in the department. Sometimes he does it physically with his own two eyes. Sometimes he keeps some support staff, and those support staff are instructed on how they should go, and continuously those should observe on how people are behaving so that they get the information even when they are not there. So the information has to be collected, and then this information has to be utilized for further analysis. They are the ones who continuously observe their subordinates, activities, and job. So it's not necessarily only their subordinates. For example, the HR moves beyond their department also, because the role of HR is to take care of all the organization. Number two, they get the informations out of them. So these informations may be in the form of reports. These informations may be verbal observations being written down. It may be verbal reporting done by their juniors, and they then check the performance of every employee and also try to give feedbacks. So the monitors are the one who also keep telling if somebody is doing wrong. They guide them, and they also let them know what they can do in order to be approved more or appreciated by the organization. So that is what is called as the monitor role of a in an organization, and this can be played by the HOD, this can be played by your immediate boss, this can be played by your HR. So basically, there are multiple managers and multiple monitors in the company. The second role is the disseminator role. So disseminator role, the we can say that the communications are reversed. So previously the monitor was collecting informations. So lot of information is being collected, but not all informations are relevant. Not all informations are authentic. So information has to be validated, checked, and then what best information or correct information is being collected, it is then being transferred to the relevant people who are directly related to it, right? So they not just receive information, they also transfer this information back. It could be to the same people for reasons like informing them that we are aware, like as done by the HR. Number two, it could be like taken from the top management and transferred to the middle management. That is also dissemination. Or collected from the organization and transferred to the newspaper, the social media, and other areas. So fact is that it is important because in any organization, the subordinates, the superiors, and the managers of other department rely on timely information. So if the middle management does, if the top management does not disseminate to the middle management, what are the policies? What are the goals of an organization? If they do not know all this, they can never transfer it to the lower management. And the lower management will never be able to do it. This is the third role. Sorry. The third role of the spoke informational part. So spokesperson. The top executives find themselves more involved as spokesperson than the lower level managers. Why so? It is because they are the ones who are connected to external bodies. They get to know about the various new changes, the new impacts. They get a lot of reports from outside, through which they are the one who know who get the filtered information. They get to know about the lower level managers, they get to know about the middle managers working, and they get to know what is the best of an organization. So, to external people, when they connect, they act as spokesperson, somebody who is speaking with reference to the company and conveying it to the external people. So those kind of people are referred as spokesperson. So what do these spokesperson transfer? These spokesperson, or you can also know them by the name of PR person, the public relation person. So what do? They convey the information about the company policies on the competition. For example, let's say if Nokia has come up with a new change or with a new model, what will they do? They will transfer the information of their model of phone which is better than Nokia's phone. So they will try to let the people know that we are also continuously evolving. We are nowhere behind. And what they have come up is with is, and we have a better product coming up very soon. So this is how they let people know on how they are at an upper edge. And also they get in touch with the customer care. So they inform the customer care on what things have to be transferred to them, what informations have to be transferred to the people, how the people have to be handled in a way. They also convey like things which they want the internal employees to know. For example, at times the CEO does a tea tea get together. So in that tea get together, the CEO discusses the future plans of the company, how it is going to affect the employees of the organization, and how the company is going to prosper, make profits, share bonuses to the employees. So they share in the internal front and they discuss at the external front. They give speeches, they do press conferences, they do anything that is needed to convey the organization's growth and prosperity to the external people. So these are the people who speak in behalf of the company. So these were the two roles already, the seasonal roles and the information roles. The third and one of the most important role is interpersonal role, a role that the managers assume to provide direction and supervision to both employees. Because most of the things that are being done in the organization are under guidance of the boss. So, there are few rules, some symbolic and some real. The first rule under the category of interpersonal roles is called as figurehead role. So, what does this figurehead do? Figurehead is more like a symbol of the organization's mission and what an organization wants to achieve. It can be related to the father of the family or the grandfather of the family who may be retired, but still he always gets the highest position on the table. He is the one who serves the food first. He is the one who takes major decisions related to the family, society, and informs others. Father also goes to him to ask for his guidance because he believes he is wisdomful, he is experienced. So that person is called as a figurehead. The executive managers attend number of functions at the office and other places representing the company. So this figurehead is kind of present. His name would always be looked upon whenever any organizational meeting is happening, and um, they invite people in weddings and like Whenever there are visitors, he should be the one to represent the organizations. And whenever you're doing any kind of parties for the customer, then again, this figurehead has to be present because he is the symbol of an organization's prosperity. He could be like, for example, let's say the founder, Narayan Murthy. Though he is not directly working for Infosys as of now, but then he is the figurehead of the organization. The organization was founded by him. So his presence in any party shows, or in any Infosys related event shows his direct involvement yet. The second role is of a leader. So, what does a leader role means? Leader role means somebody who is able to bring in the motivation in the workers or in the employees. So, any kind of work related behavior that they are accomplishing, the goals that they are obtaining. So, their major focus is trying to ensure that people's potential are being attained, they perform their best, and also the assigned target or the goals of the organization are being reached. So, to help this whole process, what do? They train, they counsel, and they mentor to improve the employees' performance. Right? So, this is the role of a leader in any organization. This role can be performed by their top management, by their middle management, and by their four frontline managers. Even a worker can perform this role. Some workers are better at motivating their own peers a little better than their boss. So anyone can be a leader. The third role is called as the role of liaison. This role is slightly different from others because this is purely relating to the external bodies. So, liaison means to link and coordinate the activities of people and groups both inside and outside the organization. So usually when we use the word liaising, it is more used for outside connect, but we can also call it for inside work. So when we are trying to build up new list of suppliers, then we try to establish a contact with the suppliers and we try to find out who is charging what so that we can look for a supplier which charges optimum and who is timely, who is committed and who provides the right quality of material. So connecting with such kind of person is a live example of the licensing role. Second example of licensing role would be of the top management getting in touch with the government authorities for getting some approvals for a new project. It could also be a live example like where the top management connects with the education institutes and try to establish an MOU for its senior people who have learned a lot by experience but lacks a degree. So, licensing means connecting or coordinating with anybody outside or inside the organization. So, these are some of these roles, like interpersonal roles of the managers. Anyone at any level can be in any of these 10 roles. These were as decided by Henry Fayol. Mintzberg also created the similar roles. So he also divided the organization into these roles. This is more famous by the name of Mintzberg. So once we have known what are the functions, we already found out the functions, then we talked about the levels, then we talked about the roles, and now we are coming down to managerial skills. So, what does managerial skill mean to you? It means the personal ability put to use by a manager for the accomplishment of organizational goals. So, when I say personal ability, when I say personal ability, especially for the manager, so like examples could be how one is able to communicate. Number two, how one is able to manage the time. Number three, how one is able to command. Number four, how is one able to plan. Number five, how is one able to organize the resources. So all of these terms are a live example of how one can have the right amount of managerial skills. So usually the managerial skills can be qualified into three categories: primary skills, secondary skills, and other skills. So how do we further categorize these skills? Let's try to see. The primary skills are divided into three parts: conceptual skills, technical skills, and human skills. The other skills are the administrative skills and the analytical skills, where administrative skills means the daily ongoing functions, analytical skills means breaking down a complex task and making it easier. The secondary skills nowadays, which are more commonly required, are design skills, the communication skills, and the leadership skills. So, with which a person can become not just a manager but also a higher level employee. So, these are one step ahead. So let's go in detail of these primary skills. The skills which are more important for a manager to perform its role and responsibilities are referred as primary skills, without which he or she cannot succeed. So RL Katz gave three types of skills: technical, human, and conceptual. You very well know the worker who works on the machine, the engineer who uses his technical ability. So these are the people who are specialized. Either they have received an engineering degree or they have a ITI diploma. Through either of them, they develop this ability to apply their specialized knowledge or expertise. So this technical skill is what is referred as technical skill. If you talk about human skill, it is more about how to get the work done from others. It is nearer to management. So we in human skills category, we try to like kind of find out ways how the work can be done, what is the right methodology, how to ensure that people are not pushed but pulled, means motivated to get the work done. It could be as a single human being or it could be people working in teams. So both ways, ensuring people to work and getting superior work done out of them is your human skills competence. So like the last skill is conceptual skills under the primary skills. It means the mental ability to analyze and diagnose complex situations. So when we say conceptual, we are trying to refer the ability to, you can say, let's say, let me give you a small example, like what comes in a complex situation in an organization. During the work, a worker was going onto a higher plane, and while going, the staircase with which he had to go to that higher up machinery got broken. So now this employee got hurt and he is in hospital. So how does the top management deal with this situation? Because they very well know that the trade union is in wait to complain against the management and make this a issue for strike. So how would a top management try to handle this particular situation so that no work, loss of work may happen, employees' life may also be saved, and the no concerns come up the whole issue. So what does go in detail enough technical skills? Technical skills means what are the things that you do on machineries usually. One, creating a product. So we need to know about the various methods, process, procedures, or techniques for getting that technical skill attained. Also, we need to guide and train our subordinates so that they don't make mistakes. And also, they are required to perform a particularly organizational roles. So whichever role you are, every role has some other technical skill. Even we in the HR role, we need to know the computers so that we can make reports. The first line supervisors require more technical skills than middle and top level managers because he has to control those people who are very technically sound. Therefore, he needs to be updated with the machinery himself. Otherwise, the
Hello
workers
everyone.
make a fool out of him. Human skills. Those ability where a person has to understand, change, lead, and control the behavior of other individuals. So all these processes we can say are a part of human skills. Every person, in order to be a capable and a commanding person, should have the right amount of human skills. And like every managerial level requires managers to interact with the subordinates. So, working with process and physical resources and communicating people properly is also a human skill. They need to coordinate and cooperate with others. So, first to get cooperation, they have to give cooperation. So, a good coordination team. And finally, last but not the least, if you have human skills, if you have these capabilities, then you would be good at motivating others in the organization. Last but not the least, the conceptual skills. It is based on recognizing the interpersonal interrelationships between various functions of organization. Complex problems are solved under this. Planning and problem solving are a part of it. It refers to the ability to analyze and diagnose the situation and distinguish between the cause and effect. So you can see that the top level managers lead the largest amount of conceptual skills. Human skills is almost same at all the level, but it may be lesser at top level. Technical skills, you can say the interaction is a little lesser inside the company for the top managers. But outside, the top managers have to connect more with people, liaison more. Technical skills are definitely more required in the lowest level, and it is just opposite to the conceptual skills, where top management need large amount of conceptual skills. The first line managers need large amount of technical skills and maximum amount of top management need lesser technical skills because they already have people who can do the technical work for them, but they need to understand those things. For example, graph can be made by somebody else, but the top managers need to know it, how to interpret that graph, how to analyze that graph. So that much technical skill is something that the top managers should surely be aware of. Middle managers, they have to make reports, they have to kind of at times do analytics, they have to understand the softwares and all. So they also need to have a reasonable amount of technical skills nowadays because of analytics coming into play. So this slide helps you understand which type of skills are required at which level, and we can say that the that each and every skill is important. Everybody needs these skills, but maybe in different amount. This may vary. As an individual, also we need to acquire all these skills because you see, if we don't plan our life well, we cannot really find out what has to be done. So conceptual is all about planning as an individual. Human skills relate help us connect with our peers and colleagues, and technical skills help reduce our manual job and helps us make more effective and efficient. So, in today's session, what all we discussed was the various levels, importance of those levels. We also tried to know how are the levels using the various functions. So, we're dividing the various functions with respect to the various levels. Then we had talked about the various types of roles, the 10 roles given by Fayol and Mintzberg, and in these 10 roles, we've understood that anyone can play any of those roles depending on the situation. And then we talked about various skills provided to us. So this is what we have covered in today's session. So I'm sure you have understood all these points, and if there are questions, you can definitely pose it through the formal method provided to it. So this is what is the compilation of the various skill types for the managers. There are some secondary skills also. So the first we discussed were the primary skills. So secondary skills are the supplementary skills, and the secondary skills are referred as design skills, leadership skills, and communication skills. So if we talk about this, secondary skills, we can call them the design skill, as the name says, design skill. They are more related to like kind of creating a blueprint. So in future, you can see that any kind of work would go on with the planning, and design skill is something which will lead to planning. So this is I'm giving you an idea. You can be prepared for the forthcoming session. The leadership skill, where we will talk about the abilities of a person to lead. And then last but not the least, the communication skills, which are the very important and essential part of dealing with something. So you can plan and prepare for the next session, and we will continue tomorrow. Namaste. Prepare for the next session, and we will continue tomorrow. Namaste.